Okay, the question I get the most is, can you compare the images across your A, B, and C cameras? And is it possible to match all three? And is the cost difference between each reflect the image quality? And how do they compare in low light scenarios? So my main A camera is my Sony FX3, and my B camera and my main studio cam, my Sony A7C. And my C cam / pocket cam and pickup B-roll cam is the Sony ZV-1. All outstanding cameras, and in no way do you need all three. In fact, this Sony ZV-1, this little ZV-1 is probably more than enough than most of us need. But since I'm a bit of a camera junkie, I think it's worth comparing the three for you since I have them here. And in case you're considering picking one up, upgrading to one, or thinking of getting a B or C cam of your own. And which camera, if you could only get one, should you get and why? So let me first discuss the settings here as I tried to match them the best I could. And in no way is this scientific or perfect, as that's completely above my pay grade. But they are all at 24mm, but due to variance in sensor size, I adjusted their aperture to match exposure the best I could, but it will be written below. They are all in 4K 24 frames per second and 1/50th shutter. They all have no ND filters on, or their internal NDs are off. And they're all set to their base ISO per camera and per picture profile mostly. On my FX3, I'm shooting in S Cinetone and it's graded, as I didn't think it's fair to shoot in S-Log3, so this is currently how I best attempt to match colors. In both my A7C and my ZV-1, I'm shooting in H-Log3 and it's graded as well, which is pretty much just bumping up contrast. Okay, so that looks pretty bad, and I know you were probably watching going, oh my god, you cannot match A, B, and C, that's just awful. So I fixed it. I did some things wrong. I'm gonna cut to that and I'm gonna show you what I did wrong. I just wanted to keep it in there to let you know I made a huge error, and it was probably a white balancing problem. I have 4 cameras going. So let me cut to me fixing being able to actually match A, B, and C and how I did that. So I'll cut to you. So this part is gonna be unscripted. I've decided to completely change how I did the test, but I'm gonna keep the beginning so you can see what mistakes I made. I've now got everything in HLG3 across all 3 cameras, and hoping that this is gonna help match it. The S Cinetone that I did earlier, something happened with the white balance. I had 4 cameras and I was trying to do maybe more than I should. So here I think is a probably more true test, which is I'm using a similar picture profile and I'm gonna use the same LUT and not gonna really tinker with much else just to see, can you actually match? I also am using ND filters on all of them. So I'm just trying to get the right exposure. They have different base ISOs. I think the FX3 is at 100. This one's at, the ZV-1 is at 250. And I think the A7C is at 125. So they all have different base ISOs because completely different sensor sizes. So let's see how this works. And I've took some other sample footage and hopefully this test will be much better than the previous one. So again, my A7C here, my FX3 here, and my ZV-1 here. So how does this look now? Is this a match? And can this be used in an interview setting? Unlike my earlier portion, but I love the talking head piece because it cuts together really fun. But this is probably the truer, better test to see if it works. Okay, back to me in the edit and then back to me in the talking head. Okay, bye. Okay, so that was much better, obviously. So I want you to go back to the old me, the person who made all the mistakes that you can learn from, and you can watch him here, go. Contrast and saturation, bringing down the yellows and reds and skin tone, also bringing down the blacks and adding some vignetting and minor sharpening. I was not being obsessive about it, as you can always tinker around with it to your liking, but I just want to show you that it is possible to cut between them if you were, say, shooting an interview, or you could easily match the images, especially if you were just uploading them to social media. Now, I'm probably going to make another future video where I attempt to mimic S-Cinetone as others have in both the A7C and the ZV-1 and compare it to the FX3 because they don't have it natively as a picture profile like they do in the FX3, A7S III, and the A7 IV. But again, that's for another video. Now, just to reiterate, there's always somebody bigger and stronger out there who knows more and can do better. And I don't shy away from the fact that I'm not an expert, but I am a passionate user who is always learning, and I probably know more than some and far less than others. But what matters to me is how the image looks for your specific project or need. Which brings me to the question, if I had just one camera, which one would it be? And I know that totally depends on your needs, so the best vlog camera to throw in your bag or a pocket is easily the ZV-1. Whereas the best overall hybrid compact camera that still could fit in your pocket, but is probably the best quality camera at the size and price with the easiest files to work with for vlogging or professional work, or as a studio camera, again, is the Sony A7C. And if I'm traveling, I tend to bring the A7C with me with a compact lens as it's shockingly good and super versatile. And it's even debatable for me if it's not just the best camera for beginners and pros. However, the camera that shines at night is the FX3, and I am in pitch black, so you can sort of see the ZV-1, A7C, and FX3, and I could probably get it to focus a little bit, but it is pitch black out. And if you have the budget for it, obviously it'll probably be the only camera you'll need for a while, both compact and professional. And with the new firmware version 2.0, it could even get Netflix approval as a proper cinema camera, which for me doesn't really matter because it's already a proper camera, whether or not Netflix says it. But then you have the ZV-1, which other than the low light performance is pretty perfect. You can definitely use it as a studio cam or a vlogging cam, and it's so light that you can use it on one of those cheap Crane M2 gimbals. I have a video for that coming soon. And it's fantastic for B-roll, and other than the 4K 24p, which is phenomenal, it also has a stupid fun feature, which is the 720p 960 frames per second hyper slow-mo mode, which is just fun. So this could easily be your A cam and only cam. For if you're on a budget, but you want the image to not look like it's on a budget, then go with the ZV-1. So the real question again is, can you use these cameras together, matching image quality and color as an A, B, and C camera? And I'll let you all be the judge of that, but for me, they're the perfect trio. Thanks for your time and attention. Please consider liking and subscribing, as I've got a ton more videos on the way. Okay, thank you all. Love you, bye.